Right now, you're probably working a job, preparing for one, or recovering from one. But for most of human existence, jobs didn't exist. No applications, no interviews, no 2-week notices. For roughly 290,000 years, humans lived without employment, bosses, or weekends. So what did they actually do all day? The answer isn't what you'd expect. Let's clear something up first. Ancient humans weren't lazy. They worked hard, but their work looked nothing like ours. There were no specialists. No one introduced themselves as a hunter or a gatherer. You did what needed doing, when it needed doing, and then you stopped. Anthropologists have found something shocking about modern hunter-gatherer societies. These groups, living similarly to our ancestors, worked roughly 3 to 5 hours per day. That's it. The rest of the time, social activities, rest, play, and storytelling. Compare that to the average modern worker, 8 hours at the office, plus commute. We call this progress, but here's what's strange. Early humans weren't constantly scrambling. That's the survival myth we've been told. Archaeology shows something different. They had abundant food sources. Hunting and gathering, when you know what you're doing, is efficient. You don't need 40 hours a week to feed yourself when eating what grows naturally. The Hadzabe people still live this way today. Researchers track their time. Men hunt for about 2 hours each morning. Women gather for 3 to 5 hours. They usually do it in groups, talking the entire time. By afternoon, they're done. The evening is for socializing, games, music, and rest. Children play without structured activities. No one is optimizing their productivity. This wasn't poverty. This was abundance. Ancient humans had something we've completely lost. They had time. Massive amounts of unstructured, unhurried time. Time to develop intricate knowledge of their environment. Time to create art. The oldest cave paintings are over 40,000 years old. These weren't made by professionals during work hours. They were made by people who had the time to create beauty for its own sake. They made jewelry from shells and bones. They carved flutes from vulture wings. They told stories complex enough that we still tell versions of them today. None of this was their job. It was just life. So, if they weren't working a 9 to 5, what were they doing all day? The answer is, they were playing, but not like we play today. In our world, play is just a distraction. To them, play was cognitive training. Every game, every challenge was a way to sharpen their survival instincts. And then, there was the social grooming, the glue that held the tribe together. They weren't just gossiping, they were processing social data and building trust. This wasn't wasted time, it was the essential maintenance of their society. They were constantly observing, learning, and mapping their environment. They knew every plant, every bird, every shadow in their territory. To them, the forest wasn't a resource to be exploited, it was a library to be read. Every sound was a sentence, every movement a piece of data. A rustle in the bushes might mean a predator, or just a shift in the wind. They didn't have jobs, but they had a deep, non-negotiable discipline. It was a self-imposed discipline to ensure the tribe survived the season. This is what I call ecological intelligence, the ability to act in sync with nature. Compare this to a modern office environment. There, you follow the boss's orders, regardless of the reality outside. Here, the boss is the season, the rain, and the growth of the plants. If you ignore these signs, you don't miss a quota, you lose your life. But when you respect these rhythms, life becomes profoundly simple. There is no stress about the future because the future is just the next season. We call this unstructured time, but it was actually the most structured life possible. Everything had a purpose, but that purpose was always local and immediate. No one worked for a corporation, they worked for the well-being of the circle. This constant, intimate connection created a different type of human brain. Modern brains are trained for specialization, focusing on one task for hours. Ancient brains were trained for synthesis, connecting 100 tiny signals into a plan. That's why they weren't lazy. They were constantly processing. It was high-speed mental processing, just without the paperwork. But wait, this leads us to the trap that changed everything. The invention of agriculture. We call it civilization. The bones tell a different story. Archaeologists have found that early farmers were sicker than their hunter ancestors. They worked longer, ate less varied food, and were shorter in height. Why would anyone choose that? The truth is, they might not have chosen it at all. It was a trap that snuck up on us, one season at a time. We started protecting the plants we liked, which meant spending more time near them. Soon, we weren't just protecting them, we were bound to them. The plants had domesticated us. They needed weeding, watering, and protection. We were no longer ecological masters. We were servants to our crops. This was the birth of the job. A job is just a task that you must do to survive, often for someone else's benefit. In the hunter life, you worked for yourself and your family directly. Now, you work for a pile of grain, a pile of money, a digital number on a screen. The connection between your effort and your survival was broken. It was replaced by the abstract concept of employment. And once that bridge was crossed, there was no going back. We built cities, kings, and eventually, the office cubicle. Each step promised more security, but required more work. We had traded our freedom for the illusion of control. We started to believe that work wasn't just a way to survive, but our primary purpose. In the ancient world, you were a human first and a gatherer second. Now, we are employees first, and humans only in our spare time. This shift created a new kind of morality, the morality of the worker. If you aren't working, you feel guilty. You feel like you're losing time. But time is a natural flow, not a bank account you have to keep full. The danger is that we've confused productivity with value. We think if we aren't producing, we have no reason to be here. The ancient human knew their value existed simply because they were part of the tribe. They didn't need to earn their place in the world through a paycheck. This brings us to the job as religion paradigm we live in today. Your job gives you your identity, your status, and your place in the social hierarchy. When you lose your job, you don't just lose income, you lose yourself. That's why unemployment is so psychologically devastating in our era. For a hunter-gatherer, losing a job would make no sense. You cannot be unemployed from life. You were always employed by reality itself. But the system we've built is fragile. It relies on constant growth, and constant work to fuel that growth. We work to buy things to save time, so we can work more to buy more time. It's a feedback loop that never ends. What if we stopped? What if we opted out of the rat race? Our society would tell you that you'd starve, or that you're failing. But look at the ancient record. They didn't starve, they thrived, because they relied on each other, not on a faceless system. We've traded community for efficiency. Efficiency is for machines. Community is for humans. We have been trained to see laziness as the ultimate sin. But maybe, laziness is just the human brain demanding rest and connection. The modern busy lifestyle is a forced state, not a natural one. We've forgotten how to sit with ourselves. Ancient humans could sit for hours listening to the world. They were not waiting for the next task. They were living the present moment. We spend our lives planning for the future, which never actually arrives, because the future is just more work. What if we redefined successful living, not by how much we produce, but by how well we relate to our world, by how many stories we share, by how much time we spend with people we love? This is not a call to destroy civilization. It is a call to take our humanity back. To remember that we were once the masters of our own time. We stand today at a strange turning point in human history. We have created machines to do our work for us. AI, automation, robotics. By all logic, we should have more free time than our ancestors. But instead, we are more busy than ever. Why? Because we didn't use this technology to reclaim our time. We used it to accelerate the treadmill. The promises of the 4-hour workweek remain an unfulfilled dream. We are living in a gilded cage, a cage with all the comforts of modern life. But a cage is still a cage. It keeps us from the one thing our ancestors had for free: autonomy. The power to decide how your day is spent. This doesn't mean we need to throw away our phones and run into the woods. It means we need a great relearning, a relearning of how to use our time as a resource for life, not profit. Imagine if your job was simply to contribute to your community's health. If we valued social grooming as much as we value meetings, if we valued play as much as we value training. The transition isn't technological, it's cultural. We need to move from efficiency back to ecology. Ecology of the self and ecology of the tribe. It starts with the small, radical act of reclaiming your Saturday, then your Sunday, then your evening. It starts by questioning why busy has become a badge of honor. Maybe the most productive thing you can do is absolutely nothing. Our ancestors knew this as the art of uselessness, the capacity to be, to create, and to exist without a metric for success. That capacity is still inside you, buried under years of job. It's time to nurture that spark. History shows us that we were never meant to be cogs in a machine. We were meant to be masters of our own day. When you feel the anxiety of not working, remember the 290,000 years. They did not fail because they weren't productive. They flourished because they were connected. So, ask yourself, what would you do today if you didn't have a job? What art would you create? What story would you tell? Who would you spend your time with? The answers to these questions are the roadmap to your future. Not a career map, but a life map. The era of the job is a brief, intense blip in our long history. It's up to us to decide how long it lasts. We have the tools, the technology, and the history. What we lack is the courage to choose differently, to choose life over employment, to choose connection over efficiency. This is the great work of our generation, not building a better app, but building a better way to exist. Our ancestors left us the ultimate legacy, the freedom to simply be. It's our job to reclaim it, not a job in the sense of a task to complete, but a mission of the heart. So start today, take 5 minutes to do nothing. Take an hour to talk to a friend. Take a day to learn something just because you're curious, not because it pays. These are the seeds of a new world. A world where human is defined by who we love and how we live, not by what we produce for a system that doesn't care about us. The choice is yours. The time is now. You are the ancestor of the future. Make it a future worth living in. It's time to come home to yourself.